Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the game news, the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're talking about the high price is now the new floor. We're going to go through some data here. I'll make this as quick as I can. Probably shouldn't take overly long, but this is out of Digital Foundry, and yeah, Asha's saying, which I did watch the interview. I'll try to link those down below if you wish. Asha Sharma says that just the storage prices doubled between fall of 25 to February of 2026. Doubled again between February to June, and is going to more than quadruple, which more than 5 times, she says, by holiday of 2027. Similar story for RAM, which of course is made from the same limited supply of flash memory. Yeah, right here. Taking us over 5x the price that we already had only 2 years earlier. Yeah, it's just going to be completely out of control. And when we take a look at RAM, again, we're going to start with DDR4 low clocks, 8 gig sticks. Just looking at the price increase, it's pretty much every single one. And while a few of these have come down, basically all of DDR5 has not come down at all. Some of them have even increased still. And this is going into June of this year. And it's just not getting better. And even if we have a drop of 50%, we're still going to be really nowhere near the price of what it used to be. Because again, this was like $100, $125, and right now we're at like 560. So even if we drop by half, we're going to be over 500 or over $250 for DDR5 6000 216s. That's crazy, guys. That is just a ton of money. And again, the higher your clocks go and the bigger your sticks, of course, the worse it's going to get. And that's the last one. The other thing I want to touch on is that the oil supply that we've had, well, we've had spikes in the past, but if demand was doing good, if the economy was doing well around the world, not just in the United States, but wherever you guys also live too, we wouldn't be having oil just kind of being lower, even before the Strait of Hormuz. Now, when Hormuz happened, boop, it spiked like crazy, right? And then, yeah, Trump has worked on talking it down, and we still have a supply gap, but I think they're kind of hoping to, fix that. But, that's also a bigger issue too. There's chemicals and there's other types of oil and natural gas, and yeah, all of that's going to take, probably a couple of years to actually work through and get back to normal. We'll have to see, unless the demand is really, really low globally for that stuff. But again, there's some things that we just refuse to live without. Also, take a look at the inflation. Well, this is what I'm talking about, that the high prices are just now a new floor. And so, again, even if we do come down like what I showed with the RAM, well, there's really no way to necessarily get it fixed. Now, what's generally normal is that we have, okay, this is kind of like a normal year. We usually have a high month, and this is month over month. So it was 0.8, and the next point it's 0.3, -1, that 0.1, that kind of stuff. But this is kind of normal. Well, what we've been having is that we've actually been having higher prices. And so they're color coded for you so that you can kind of take a look at this. But as you can see, there's actually quite a bit of orange. So 2021 is, well, in 2020 is when we had that stimulus money. In 2021, a lot of people started spending it and actually started getting it in their bank accounts and checks and wherever. So they started spending that in the United States, and they continued to spend it into the, halfway through 2022. Well, the spending almost completely stopped. And the spending stopped basically because, well, people were kind of out of the money. They bought their cars, they bought their gaming stuff, whatever. And again, people during this time period, we also had supply chain issues for 3 years from 21, 22, 23, and 24. So I guess for kind of 4 years we had that. But yeah, we were finally done with it in 24 for the most part. But we've also had like Russia, Ukraine, Taiwan could still be on the table. Who knows? There's just constant stuff. There's US, Iran, Israel, etc. There's just all of that stuff all the time. But again, oil should be a heck of a lot higher if all of that is actually still taking place. But it's not. And I think it just shows how low actual consumer demand really is and industry demand. But looking at the inflation here, even during the supply chain, people were willing to pay $1,100 for a Series X, and people were also willing to pay up to $1,400 for a PlayStation 5. But that's when they actually had money. Well, they don't really have that anymore, and well, we've kind of stayed high. 24 was pretty low, 25 was pretty low. Now this is kind of weird. These are actually missing, and October is actually just missing. You actually take a look at October. It's just, it does not exist. So I'm not really sure why that is, but that's kind of suspicious. But then November, they actually show here as like a zero point 0.2. But again, the average inflation as like a running 12 months has always been kind of high. But at least, of course, it's better than what they were in 21 or 22. So yeah, with the straight, well, this is going to also just keeping prices high. It's not people's spending that's keeping it high. It's just the lack of supply, technically, or twisting the demand to make it high now when the costs go up in insurance and all of that stuff of shipping all of that oil around the world. And so, yeah, basically in March on, we'll see how long this actually takes to settle out, but I'm guessing somewhere probably in August. But we're also running, some places are actually running out of oil. There's been issues and a state of emergencies that have been issued, like in the Philippines, where one of my siblings lives. And so, yeah, they are definitely having cutback. There's kind of rationing going on and stuff like that. I don't know if that's still going on. Now we're in June, but we're going to be able to see the data here with kind of how the economy is handling that and ultimately what the price of oil is going to be. Now, right now it's pretty low, but we'll see if that actually sticks. But we also just have the continued ongoing cost of everything else. So here's MSI's handheld that they just released. Now this one is very, very nice. Okay, not everyone's going to buy this and they understand it, but it's $1,800. Estimated was 1,500. Well, it's 18. You take a look at the 4060 with, whether some are TI, most of these are TIs actually. But yeah, 4060 with 16 gigs of RAM. The prices are actually pretty high. This is the cheapest one, but like they're all kind of around $800, $1,000, 900, 800, 800. 11. God, dude. It's just a lot of money. When we take a look too at also the Switch 2, well, we just had a price increase, and yeah, in Japan, week over week, well, it fell 87% in sales for the console. Which, yeah, when do you think the price increase for everywhere else when it goes up $50? Well, it's probably going to crater the sales as well, just like the price increase did for when we had the Xbox and also the PlayStation. Because remember, the PlayStation is now 650 with the disc drive. The Pro is roughly 900 if you can find it for that, but basically it's about 900, $1,000. Even just looking like there's a new SanDisk 8 terabyte for a PlayStation 5 SSD, which holds over 200 games, which is wonderful. But the thing that's hilarious is that it's $3,000, guys. That's crazy. Again, the Series X, it's roughly 650. And what's the Steam machine gonna be? I really don't know. And also, what's it gonna cost for PlayStation 6 and Project Helix? Money. Super money, guys. It's going to be bad. And even Asha Sharma has been saying that, they can't really produce enough consoles to meet demand. We're talking about the worst console company out of all of them, and they just, they can't get there. And so, yeah, digging around a little bit, yeah, this was with the UK even in 2025. I don't know if there's demand now, but this is what Asha Sharma actually said, is that they still can't meet console demand, even though that's been an issue in the UK since the beginning of 2025. That is wild to me. That's 18 months, and they still can't get consoles over there. And maybe there's some other places too. I don't know what to say. That's kind of weird. Also, too, just the average cost, just for a couple, is $65,000, and for a family of four, it's $91,000. That's kind of what the cost is, and this is including rent, which I don't make that much. I got a family of five, and yeah, I don't make that much, but I definitely do make more than this. But still, like, if things are tight, if the costs are still going up, and again, everything that we do need is also going up in price, who's going to pay for the next gen console? There's some people too that are thinking, people with the Xbox One or PlayStation 4, that they're actually going to go buy the Steam machine, and maybe they will. But if everything else is going up in cost and you already couldn't afford PlayStation 5 and Series X, are you going to spend more money to get the next generation? Probably not, because you just don't have the money. The things that you don't have to buy, you won't. And that's going to be the majority of the people. So this is an issue for publishers. This is an issue for new games. And so if your game is really, really good, it will sell, okay? Crimson Desert, First Light looks like it's doing well. Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, or even just taking a look at some others, like Resident Evil Requiem, they have sold well. But yeah, you're only really going to be buying one or two games a year. And all of the other games that are coming out, there's just not enough money. When we also take a look at layoffs, well, there's been Ubisoft, there's been Xbox, there's been PlayStation, there's been some indie developers, there's been some funding pulled as well across the board, kind of anywhere you look. And we can see that even just in 2026. And so we're on our fifth year now of layoffs: 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. We just keep having layoffs because, again, there's not enough money to support it all. And it doesn't look like it's going to be better. The costs are just too high. The inflation, it's just too high. And whatever the reasons are, wherever you live in the world, it doesn't really matter that, who started what. What matters is what you're going to do now. If you don't really need one, why would you? You're going to go for the cheaper options, or you're just going to move to PC, where that's the best stuff for your money, basically. The accessibility and all of your options and cheaper costs, not having to pay for online. This can still be a good option, but again, I'm guessing $900 for this. That's a lot. PlayStation 6, I think they'll subsidize it and it'll be $800. And I think too for the Helix, I think it'll be $12. Because if you're thinking you're going to buy one, probably not. But again, those could be off if the prices continue to go up. So where are you guys going to be? What's kind of your plan going forward? I'd love to hear about it, actually. I should make a poll. With that, folks, I'll see you guys on the next one.